Welcome to this video of GCSE Physics Paper 2 topic of forces, and specifically speed. Some top tips so you can get the most out of this lesson. Do not have any other web pages or windows open on your computer that will distract you. Answer all the questions, they will help to make sure you understand the new content. Switch off your phone or at least put it in a different room, it's the biggest distraction you've got. And try to complete this lesson in one session. It will really help to make sure you fully understand what has been covered. The plan for this lesson, we'll start off with some retrieval practice. We know we need to go over previous topics to make sure we don't forget things. We'll have a look at the new content of speed. You'll have a time to embed those new key concepts before there's your chance to have a go and develop your understanding with some practice work. So what you're going to need is a mini whiteboard or pen and some scrap paper for the retrieval, possibly some revision cards, an exercise book or notepad that you're going to be able to keep your new content notes safe in, a mini whiteboard or a pen and some scrap paper again, or someone who's going to be able to quiz you for the embedding, and that exercise book or notepad again for the practice questions. So pause this video and get yourself organised. First things first, retrieval practice. First retrieval slide, pause the video, answer the question on some paper or on a mini whiteboard. Here are the answers. Any that you couldn't answer or weren't sure about, you should write down on revision cards or in a notebook so you can go back over them later. Pause the video and do that now. Second retrieval slide, pause the video and give these questions a go. Here are the answers. Make sure you pause and write down any that you weren't sure about. Final retrieval slide is to get you thinking about forces again, so pause the video and have a go. Again, here are the answers. Pause and write down the ones you struggled with. So on to the new content. You're going to need an exercise book on Notepad so you can write down the questions and the answers as they appear on the screen. You will need these for the embedding part of the lesson later on. So pause the video and get yourself organised. So we're going to start off with two concepts of distance and displacement. What is distance? Distance is how far an object has moved, measured in meters. And what is displacement? Displacement is how far an object has moved in a straight line, including direction, and is measured in meters. To understand the difference between distance and displacement, imagine you are stood on a 400-meter running track. So there's the start line. If you were to run all the way around the track to here, you would have run a distance of 300 meters. You have physically covered 300 meters as you run around. If we were to measure how far you were from your starting point in a straight line, so we measure straight up from the start to where you're currently stood, that is now your displacement, is how far you've moved in a straight line from the starting point. So that's the displacement, and that is approximately 70 meters. So let's move on and have a look at speed. What is speed? Well, speed is a measure of how far an object moves in a given time and is measured in meters per second. If you know the speed of an object and how long it's been traveling for, you can work out the distance it's traveled. So what is the equation used to calculate distance traveled? Distance traveled equals speed times time. And as a simple equation, that is S equals VT. Distance traveled has the symbol S because it comes from a Latin word for distance, and speed has the symbol V because it comes from velocity, which we'll cover in a future video. There are some typical or average speeds for different modes of transport that you need to know about. So what are the typical speeds for walking, running, cycling, cars, trains, and planes? Walking is 1.5 meters per second. Running is 3 meters per second. Cycling is 6 meters per second. Cars are 25 meters per second, trains 55 meters per second, and planes are 250 meters per second. And finally, there are certain factors that will affect the speed a person walks or runs and cycles. So, what are the factors that will affect the speed a person walks, runs, or cycles? They are age, fitness, terrain, and distance travelled. So now it's your chance to embed those key concepts. You can use the look, cover, write, check method of self-testing, or get someone to ask you the questions and you can tell them the answers. Pause the video and do this now. Now it's time for you to practice using the concepts we have covered today. Pause the video, open up your exercise book on Notepad. So first I'm going to guide you through how to answer these questions. Copy down my workings as I go through them. I've got my questions printed on a sheet, but you can write yours in your exercise book and then just answer them underneath. So question number 1 says, how far can a cheetah run in 15 seconds at 31 meters per second? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the question and pick out all of the key information that I'm going to need in order to answer this question. So, how far can a cheetah run in 15 seconds? So seconds is a unit of time, so I have a time of 15 seconds. 31 meters per second. Meters per second is a unit of speed, so I have a speed of 31 meters per second. And how far is asked me to work out the distance travelled. So S is my unknown, and then I write a question mark to remind myself that that is what I'm trying to work out. So what equation do I know that links S, V and T? S equals VT. And now I'm going to substitute these values here into this equation. So S is unknown, so stays as S. V is 31, and that's multiplied by T, which is 15. If I type that into a calculator, I get 465. So my answer for the distance travelled, S equals 465 meters. Don't forget the units. Question number 2. How far could you cycle in 30 minutes moving at 6.0 meters per second? So again, pick out the key information. 30 minutes, well, minutes is a unit of time, so T equals 30 minutes. 6.0 meters per second, the speed is 6.0 meters per second. And again, the question's asking me how far, so S is again what I'm trying to work out. I've got a problem because my time is measured in minutes, but my speed is measured in meters per second, so my units don't match up. So I need to convert my minutes into seconds. I know there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, so I multiply 60 seconds for 1 minute by the 30 minutes I'm given to find out how many seconds are in 30 minutes, which is 1,800 seconds. So now I've got a time in seconds and a speed in meters per second. I can carry on. So what equation do I know? Well, again, it's S equals VT, and I substitute my values in. S is the unknown, V 6.0, multiplied by T, which is 1,800. And if I type that into a calculator, I get 10,800. So my distance travelled is 10,800 meters. Question 3. World record 50 meter swim took 20.91 seconds. How fast was the swimmer going? So my key information, I have 50 meters there. So I've got S of 50 meters. Took 20.91 seconds. So I have a time of 20.91 seconds. How fast was the swimmer going? So V is what I need to work out. The equation, S equals VT. Substitute the values in. So S is 50. V, I don't know, so it can stay as V, and my time is 20.91. So I need V, so I need to get rid of this 20.91 to leave V on its own. So I need to rearrange. So I draw my lines down the side to make sure I've got workspace, so it's not going to confuse with what I'm doing here. So to get rid of V times 20.91, I need to do the inverse, so I need to divide by 20.91. And if I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other. So divide by 20.91 there. So 50 over 20.91 equals V. So if I type that into a calculator, I get 2.391. So my speed is 2.4 to 1 decimal place meters per second. And then finally, question 4. A hare running at 13 meters per second races a tortoise walking at 0.09 meters per second for 100 meters. What are their finishing times? So I've got to do the calculation twice, once for the hare, once for the tortoise. So I'll start with the hare. So the hare running at 13 meters per second, V is 13 meters per second. For 100 meters, so my distance is 100 meters, and the finishing times. What are their finishing times? So T is what I'm being asked to work out. We now know the equation S equals VT. So let's substitute the values in. 100 equals 13 lots of T. I want T on its own, so I need to get rid of the 13. So a bit of rearranging. 13 times by T, so the inverse would be divide by 13. So 100 divided by 13 equals T. So that equals 7.69. So T for the hare is 7.7 to 1 decimal place seconds. And then for the tortoise, we'll do the same. So this time, the speed is 0.09 meters per second. The distance is the same, it's still 100 meters. And I'm still being asked to work out the finishing time. So I'll still need to work out T. S equals VT is my equation still. Substitute the values in. 100 equals 0.09 lots of T. So I need to rearrange. I need to divide by 0.09. Oh, run out of space. Divide by 0.09. So 100 over 0.09 equals T. So T equals 1111.11. So my answer for T is 1111.1 to 1 decimal place seconds. Now it's time to practice independently the concepts that have been covered in this lesson. Pause the video and work through these 9 questions. Here are the answers to the first 5 questions. Pause the video, check your answers and make any corrections. And here are the final 4 questions you've answered. Again, pause the video and make any corrections you need. That's all for this lesson. Make sure you go back over all the concepts from this lesson, including the retrieval practice, in order to develop your long-term memory. And I will see you next time.